managing your group. That's one thing. But when you just say the system broadly is screwing us, and it's us as white blue-collar workers, or it's us as black people, or it's us as Hispanics, that's a really damaging thing. And that, I think, is rising pretty dramatically.
Yeah.
And that's partially because the only way that politics operates, and I've spoken about this at length recently, but the only way that politics actually operates, the only way society operates is through building of the social fabric. The idea that we are individuals and we're going to treat each other as individuals, we're not going to treat each other as members of groups. The left has spent so long breaking people down into identity group politics that the right responded with its own form of, okay, well, screw you. You've already boxed us in, so okay, now that we're in the box, we're in the box. Like, that's what it is.
Right. It's almost like they hated it for so long, but now they're embracing it.
Which
is why I've tried so hard to have the left back away from some of this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to see the right back away from some of this stuff. I think that's what a lot of the alt-right controversy was about, because they're really open about the tribalism. But, I mean, there's no question that some of what Trump was doing was a quasi-tribal appeal, right? I mean, when he was talking about tariffs, for example, the tariffs that he's talking about, he's saying that obviously they're equally applicable to people living in the United States, but really who he's talking to, and everybody knew this, and it was repeated ad nauseum in the media, was he was talking to white blue-collar voters from Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And when you say to people that you can indirectly tax other people for your benefit, right, which is what a tariff is, but it's okay for the white people, but we also don't like the welfare system for the black people, then you start getting into some really, kind of interesting political territory. And the idea that it was a totally race-free campaign by Trump is not true. I mean, it wasn't. Like, the fact is that Donald Trump was making not overt references to race, but he was making subtle appeals on the basis
Is anyone saying it was a race-free campaign? Are there people?
I think there are people. Yeah, I mean, Kellyanne Conway is a good example, right? She said there was the big debate between her and Jen Palmieri from the Clinton campaign, and Jen Palmieri said that you guys were pandering to the alt-right, and Kellyanne Conway said, "You're accusing me of being part of a campaign that would pander to the alt-right?" And Jen Palmieri said, "Yeah." But Kellyanne did who, me? Me? What? And it's like, well, yeah, you a little bit. I mean,
and yet at the same time, the Democrats were pandering to everybody. They keep saying we don't talk about race, but every other line was
race.
About race.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you have both sides playing the same game now. And none of them are playing inside the mentality that where I exist, which, you put it outside the conservative box for a second. I am essentially a radical individualist in the sense that I think that people ought to be treated as individuals. They shouldn't be treated as part of groups. And so treating voters as part of a group.
You're a classical liberal.
Yeah, that's right.
And you did that?
Sure. And like a European-style classical liberal?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, except with
I thought you really liked the conservative thing enough that even to say that. Although
I'm more kind of a conservative libertarian mashup than anything else. I think the government sucks at everything, right? I mean, like, we've talked about same-sex marriage before.
Yeah.
I'm personally against same-sex marriage, but I don't think the government has any business in it. I'm personally against smoking marijuana. I don't think the government has pretty much any business in it. If you're not creating externalities, I don't think that the government has any business messing with you.
Right,
So,
and that's why I can sit across from you and you can say that, and it doesn't bother me because you're not trying, at this point, you're not trying to stop either one of those things.
Right, exactly.
And why? So you can believe what you want to believe. I know I'm supposed to be offended and probably throw something at you.
Right, exactly. But this is the thing. It's so funny. I was talking to somebody one time, and they were saying, as a religious person, you think homosexual behavior is a sin. I said, right, as an Orthodox Jew, right? It's in the Bible. I think it's a sin.
Yeah.
Here's the beautiful thing about America. You don't have to give a crap.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can think I'm an idiot. That's fine, right? Welcome to America. And you seriously can completely disregard everything I'm saying because I'm not trying to use a gun to enforce my opinion against you.
You're not trying to use a gun, and actually you're not even trying to use the Bible because you're not trying to govern by the Bible. That's exactly what you're saying.
That's right.
You're saying you have your private belief.
Right, exactly.
When did we lose this ability to have the private belief? Because did you see this about a week ago? BuzzFeed did a piece on the two people from that HGTV show.
I wrote about this.
On the show. I watch it sometimes.
Yeah, the Gaines couple.
Yeah, the Gaines
Joanna
couple.
and I can't remember the fellow's name. I don't watch the show, but yeah.
But they do this house flipping show. It might be called Flip or Flop or Flip or whatever it's called. But the point is that is that what it is? So I've watched the show many times. They strike me as two completely benign, whatever, fine people, like their job, seem like these are people. And the whole piece in BuzzFeed was that they go to a church that's against gay marriage. And I thought, this is the worst kind of smear job nonsense.
Exactly.
But when did that become okay? So what? They go to a church where we don't know what their beliefs are on it, and I wouldn't care, actually.
Right, exactly. And even if they believe that, as long as they're not manifesting that in discrimination against gay people, who gives a crap?
Right.
I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, first of all, the idea that HGTV is short on pandering to gay people is patently insane. Okay, my wife watches HGTV.
Where do you think we learned all of our?
I mean, look how beautifully decorated. But it is amazing. I mean, that sort of thought policing. I mean, that's existed for a couple of decades, probably since the '60s for the left. But the fact that it's starting to exist a little bit on the right is what frightens me. Is the thought policing that I see, because politics has become a loyalty test.
But it's so selective in what everyone does, because I would guarantee, you mentioned Keith Ellison a moment ago, I'm going to guess that the mosque that he goes to is probably, the imam is probably not for gay 100%. Marriage. But BuzzFeed, I'm just guessing on that, but I'm pretty sure that
the vast majority of mosques are not,
Probably 99.9% of mosques in America are not. Okay, that's fine. They can have their personal religious belief, but BuzzFeed would never do a piece on that. If anything, they'll whitewash everything he's ever said about Farrakhan and everything else.
Right, exactly.
So that just shows you how the media has, and I hate
again, they said that they were fine with Obama's excuse that he went to a church for 20 years where Jeremiah Wright was preaching the most insane crap imaginable from the pulpit. And they just went, okay, well, that's his church, and nobody says he has to believe that. And I said, wait a second. Yeah. Why is that's okay for Obama, but it's not okay for the gains? Yeah. Okay, Obama's like, he's going to actually run for president. Like, if at any point the guy's views are going to be relevant, you would think it's more that than, I don't know, are you going to knock out a barrier and create an open kitchen concept on HGTV?
Right.
But it is pretty wild how far things have gone. I'm hoping that I think that a lot of people who are hoping that Trump is going to be a blowback against that there will be less thought policing under Trump, but that also has to apply to Trump.
Right.
That has to apply to Trump himself, and it has to apply to
when Kellyanne Conway's tagging people, bosses on Twitter that they don't like, that's not a good sign.
Well, I mean, Donald Trump was making those noises all throughout the campaign, right? He's saying he wants to rewrite libel law, which for people in our business is like, I mean, all we do all day is sit and give opinions on people, right. And the idea that we're going to be sued for giving those opinions is a pretty frightening thing in the United States.
Yeah, but it isn't so much of that, though, and I think you've already said this, but that it's just a reaction to the lunacy.
Yeah, Trump's a reactionary, and the reaction to him is reactionary. There's no question, but reactionary politics is bad politics, right? You should have the reaction to the left has been breaking people down by race and by identity politics is not, well, screw them. Let's do identity politics too. If they can do it, we can do it. Yeah. That's not the way that you got to play the game. I mean, and if you think that's the only way we can win, then we're bound for a European-style politics. It's the end of American politics. Like what America used to be about was the idea that as individuals, we disagreed about a lot of things, but we agreed that we were going to be treated as individuals, or at least that was supposed to be the promise that we were attempting to fulfill. Mm-hmm. In Europe, it all breaks down according to demographic lines, and you just have a battle between the big government right and the big government left. And are you going to let in immigrants this time, or are you not going to let in immigrants this time? And I think that we're in danger of moving that way. Just we're gonna Schadenfreude our way right into something really ugly.
Yeah, in a weird way, though, this presents a tremendous amount of opportunity, right? I was telling you right before we started, I was with you a couple weeks ago. Dennis Prager had a fundraiser, and I thought he gave a really great speech about basically saying the world is in a really nuts place right now, and maybe we have to find allies in other places, and that's what I think I've tried to do. So there is, for all the chaos of it, there's some real opportunity.
I mean, I hope so, and I hope that I think it's a good opportunity for, when I do my podcast, I actually keep a physical shoe on the set, and I hold it up and I say, put this on the other foot. Right? Whenever Trump does something, I say, just put this on the other. If Obama did this, how would you feel? And it's a good opportunity for people on the left to do the same thing. I think that if we all sort of take the shoe and put it on the other foot, like now you're very upset with what Trump's doing, but how were you with it when Obama was doing it? If you think it's bad when Trump's doing it, maybe it was bad when Obama was doing it. Mm-hmm. And for the right, if you were really pissed off about it when Obama was doing it, and now Trump's doing it, maybe you should be pissed off when Trump's doing it. And if everybody applied that sort of intellectual honesty, I think, to whatever our politicians do, we'd be significantly better off, because the fact is that it's the team sport of it that ruins it. It's the team sport of it that where you end up with, I'm going to root for my guy, just no matter what he does, no matter what rules he breaks. And this is why I've said it's not team sport. Politics is not team sport. Like, as a White Sox fan, there was a catcher who caught for us named A.J. Pierzynski. Mm-hmm. And A.J. Pierzynski was a player that everybody hated and still hates in the major. I think he plays for the Braves now. Yeah. And they despise him because he was this guy who'd like cut any corner to win. And when he's not on your team, you hate him. And then he's on your team and you love him. Right? Yeah. He's the greatest. He'll do anything in order to win. The problem is that when you apply that to politics, and it's if he's on my team and he'll do anything to win, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, except for it isn't, because now you have to be standing up for people doing bad things.
Yeah, and that's the strange thing. I mean, look, for all these people that are upset that Trump might be a warmonger or might be against the press, now he might be, But A, he didn't run certainly on a pro-war policy. But B, Obama has been doing drone strikes in Afghanistan, drone strikes in Pakistan. Ask Edward Snowden how he's been for press freedom and all that kind of stuff. So regardless of how you feel about Snowden. Obama's
been terrible for press freedom.
So it's like, wait, why weren't you guys saying anything? You'd have a little more you'd have a little more weight to your words now.
Exactly. I said this on Brian Stelter's show on CNN, is they were going nuts over, this is when Trump was tweeting against Hamilton. Mm-hmm. And I said, let's be fair to both sides. If Obama had done this to a NASCAR event, like some NASCAR event in 2011, booed Michelle, and he'd gone on and said, these NASCAR people should shut up and apologize, basically. He
would have been applauded by
He would have been applauded by the left, and now Trump does it on Hamilton. And it's just the end of the world. Oh my God, he's going to shut down our beloved Hamilton. And he, by the way, is right. It's an overrated musical. But on the other side,
I haven't seen it yet.
On the other side, you had people on the right, and they were like, "Yeah, look at Trump, really punching, really taking it to him." It's like, right, but when Obama did exactly the same sort of stuff, when he was calling out Fox News by name and saying that it was that they were destroying the political process, we were saying, wait, the president of the United States shouldn't be going out and attacking specific news outlets for how they report. That's really gross. So funny, I had somebody tweet me saying, why didn't you ever say this stuff about Obama? And I linked directly to a video from 2013 where I said exactly this about Obama.
Yeah.
And it's again...
You could probably spend your whole life trying to correct the things that people tweet.
But that's what happens, is that people get into this, they get into this mode where, yeah, when Obama did it, it was the Democrats didn't care. And it's like, yeah, but that argument also applies to you. Mm-hmm. You did care when Obama did it, and now you're pretending not to. So the hypocrisy argument cuts both ways.